YouTube! Welcome back to the channel, and on today's episode, we are going over the topic of unlocking your life's true meaning. What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? Why am I even here? Why are you even here to begin with? You clicked on this video probably because you thought the topic was interesting. So did I. So let's talk about it. What if I told you that most people are living their lives based on someone else's blueprint? Most people think life's meaning is something they need to search for, but the truth is it's something you create every day. If you ever felt lost or wondered if there's more to life than the daily grind, you're not alone. By the end of this video, you're going to see your life's meaning in a completely new light and take your first steps towards living it fully. Your life's meaning is something that you create every day. Okay. Oh man, excuse me. I just have these allergies for some reason. It's allergy season. But back to the topic. Let's get to it, right? I think a lot of people, myself included, have this inclination that purpose is something that... I feel like a lot of people have this inclination that the meaning of life is something that is obstruct. When I say obstruct, I mean it's something that, is that even a word? Obstruct? Or obsolete, obsolete. Where it's set in stone, right? The meaning of life is this, right? For me, my meaning of life is to fail so much so that I could teach you, someone who is looking for someone else's wisdom because of their failures, right? That could be my meaning of my life, right? But for you, your meaning could be something else. It could be something greater than mine. But what I've come to realize is that meaning itself is something that is created every day on a daily basis, right? You have the control to create the meaning of your own life. If you feel like you're kind of stuck in this loop, guilty, I kind of do feel that way myself. I think that you have to ask yourself, what is it that I can do today to create meaning in my life, right? As fugazi as that may sound, right? As like up in the clouds that may sound, right? You really have to ask yourself, like, what is it that I could do today, right now, to create meaning in my life? We all have to work. We all have our responsibilities. We all have our bills to pay. Those are things that we can't avoid. But I think what we can do is ask ourselves, how can we make meaning in our everyday lives? I think sometimes when we think of meaning, we feel like we have to impact, the world, which is ideal, right? But I also think meaning can be how we show up every day to work. Meaning can be how we treat our coworkers, our family members, right? Meaning could be how we lift someone else up during difficult times, right? It doesn't have to be you have to impact the whole world. Rather, the meaning that you define for yourself can be seen or practiced daily through just your everyday life, So that's kind of how I see the creation of meaning every day, rather than like waiting or looking for that meaning when in reality you create it, But let's move forward. Point number 1. We've all been told we need to find our purpose. But what if I told you that searching for purpose is the wrong approach? I think for maybe around 18 to 21, I have always thought that my purpose was something that would come to me. And I think it was to the point where I was super unintentional about what I wanted to do with my life. And mind you, this is 18 to 21, right? When I was 18 to 21, I think that was my peak bad habit stage. I was involved with things I don't recommend, right? But I always saw it as a stage of my life where I was going to kind of put myself out there, see what the world has to offer, experiment, essentially. And I've always thought to myself that my meaning in this world, in this life, would come to me eventually. What I've come to realize, moving forward past that age bracket, was that you really have to be intentional about what it is you want in life. Or in this case, what the meaning of life is for you. I think if you wait, if you're kind of reliant, I think the world is going to conform you in a way where it tells you what your life purpose is, what the meaning of your life is. When in reality, I've come to realize, I'm currently 28 now, that a lot of your life is shaped by your thoughts and your actions. A lot of your thoughts and your actions dictate the way your life is. I mean, of course, a lot of like hard work, right? It's not like some luck, of course. But I feel like with enough effort, with enough consistent action, with the right mindset, luck will eventually come, you know? And if I had known this when I was, 18 to 21, I would have been a lot more intentional about what it is I wanted in life. Of course, I can't go back in time, but I feel like that age range from 18 to 21 really kind of brought me that wisdom, because it was a time period where I kind of picked up a few bad habits, and if I hadn't, let's say, for example, I would not necessarily have that same wisdom I have now, right? Like I mentioned before, what if my purpose is to kind of just show you a lot of my failures so that you learn from them and don't make the same mistake, But yeah, let's continue. Life's true meaning isn't something you find, it's something you build, piece by piece, through your choices and your actions. What's one small choice you can make today that aligns with your values? Start with that. I'm kind of like on this new shift of my life right now, where it's like now or never for me, right? I'm currently 28, single, unemployed. I kind of view this as kind of like my last chance to really make something out of myself. Because my whole life, I kind of, especially my 20s, I'd probably say like my early 20s to now, I kind of saw it as, if I just like blindly move forward, something's gonna happen, right? And I worked a ton of jobs, gained a whole bunch of skills, right? And I think a lot of my knowledge and experience was just, how can I make money? Like, how can I work for money? Because of course, like when you're young, that's kind of like all you want, because like you just want to like buy things, experience life, go out there, be independent, right? But now my mindset has shifted, right? I've kind of transitioned from, I just want to make money now, to how can I, of course, make money, right? Because we all need money to live. But how can I do it on my own terms? I've seen a lot of successful people say like, or especially like a lot of like older people, right? If they talk about the regrets they've had in their life, the one thing that they mention at times is they wish that they started building a business sooner. And that really resonated with me, right? Because I would probably say I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit where it's not that I don't want to work for someone, it's that your time is valuable, right? We all have 24 hours in a day. So I constantly ask myself, how can I maximize 24 hours I have given to me? If I have 8 hours dedicated to building someone else's business, someone else's dream, then what does that leave with me? Where does that leave me? So that's kind of why I want to strive towards more of the entrepreneurial route, where it's not the fact that I don't want to work for someone. Because granted, I've actually learned a lot from working for other people. I'll probably say like my best, years of fundamental learning, actually learning, was, working for someone who was highly knowledgeable about a field, and it's these things that you don't necessarily learn from a textbook or school. It's just like you learn from doing the job. And I've had good bosses, but I've also had bad bosses. And I've seen, how leadership plays a role in how you communicate with people, your team, right? And I feel like I'm at this point in my life where I have this knowledge and I have the abilities, I have the leadership skills to the point where I want to make that jump, And of course, there's so many facets into building a business, being an entrepreneur, working for yourself. But I think number one, if you're kind of on this path too, it's important to be around the right environment. And I think this is like a flaw, a mistake that I made in the past, where I wanted to save. I didn't really want to move out of my hometown. I would work, make money, and then just live cheaply off rent. And I think a lot of financial people would say it's a good idea, right? But I also think I missed out on networking. Because I live in somewhat of a small town, small city, I question what would happen if I moved to like a bigger city. Yes, I would be paying for rent, but my network, right, the people around me, if I had this dream and ambition to build a business and I moved to a city where a lot of people were like-minded and were on that path, right? It's like your environment shapes who you are, you know. So I think that's kind of like a mistake I feel like I made in the past, where yes, it was nice to save money on rent, but I feel like I sacrificed a lot based on, you know, the network and the environment that I could have been in, you know, that was really aligned and focused on the path that I wanted to achieve, you know. But yeah, point number 2. You've probably been told to follow a set path, like chasing fame, wealth, or status. But let me show you why that doesn't lead to fulfillment. It's like trying to play someone else's game. No matter how good you are at it, you'll never feel like it's yours. External achievements don't define your purpose. Your internal sense of fulfillment does. Have you ever felt proud of an accomplishment, but still felt like something was missing? Next time you make a decision, ask yourself, is this something I want for myself, or is it someone else's dream I'm chasing? This is so true, okay? So I guess with the rise of social media, especially in my early 20s, I've always thought that I wanted the Lamborghini, the, you know, nice house, the nice car, you know, the traveling, you know. Yes, it's nice, of course, but I also sometimes wonder how much of that original craving or desire is actually my own, you know. I mean, I pretty much live like a very simple life. You know, I feel like I don't really need much to, you know, make me happy. So I sometimes question, like, why do I want these things? And that kind of brought me to this rabbit hole of really identifying what it is I truly wanted in life. You know, and these are the type of conversations that you need to have with yourself. It's, yes, society is going to show you what's available, you know, and I think you have to ask yourself if the games that are being offered by society are actually games that you want to play, right? Does it make sense for you to grind and then spend it all on showing off to people about how much money you make? Or does it make sense for you to grind, live humbly, and invest and grow your net worth? Would you rather be rich and have everyone know that you're rich? Or would you rather be rich and live a simple life? For me, when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be the rich guy who everyone knew was rich. And I think the reason I wanted that was because I felt like I don't know, maybe it's just like my environment, but like maybe I was just doubted for a long time. So I felt like I had to prove myself. When in reality, honestly, the opinions of others don't really matter. Like whether you succeed or not, I mean, people are always going to have an opinion about you. And I've learned that what's truly important is what's the opinion you have about yourself. That's what's important, you know. So yes, everyone's going to have an opinion, but what's truly important is how you see yourself in this world, the opinion you have about yourself. So point number 3, think about the last time you tried to force a situation to be perfect. What if I told you that the real meaning comes not from perfection, but alignment with your authentic self. Once you realize that perfection doesn't equal fulfillment, you can stop stressing and start aligning your choices with your true desires. Most people think they need everything to be perfect to feel fulfilled, but that's exactly why they struggle. Focus on alignment, not perfection. I think in order for you to focus on alignment, you first have to really understand what your core values are. And I think it's safe to say that a majority of people don't even know what their core values are. And I think the reason is because we at times get so caught up in the processes of the daily habits, right? It's like we get so caught up in our systems, our habits, our daily routines, that we necessarily don't take the time to reflect about what our authentic self is. All right, I'll give you an example. If you're someone who's trying to build a business, you're going to have a set structure for yourself because no one's going to tell you what to do. So because no one's going to tell you what to do, you essentially have to tell yourself what to do. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But because of that, you hold yourself to such accountability that when you miss a day or when you do something different or do something wrong or out of the routine, you feel like you failed, right? So you hold to such high accountability to your standards and your systems. But when do you give time to reflect about yourself? Is this what I truly want? Is the direction that we're headed, true to myself? The same thing could be said about a job, right? If you're grinding up for that job to move up in the ranks, you may honestly lose yourself. You may work tirelessly to achieve a title or a goal or more money, which is great, but I think if you kind of miss out on life, if you have children, miss out on your children. That's honestly like a big fear of mine, honestly. It's like, what happens if I can't be there for my kids when they have their moments growing up? That's kind of why I'm leaning so much more towards like the aisle of like entrepreneurship, because of the ability to control your own time. It's like, I'd rather have that so that I could show up to my kids' games, be there, rather than like being so busy that I can't be there. I want to be there for my child or my children when they grow up. I want to be a role model for them, But yeah, I'd probably say it's important, yes, to have these systems, to have these goals that we want to accomplish. But I think if you don't take the time to reflect, don't take the time to really ask yourself, does this truly align with me? This is something I even want? Then maybe you're going to get lost, and then time's going to pass. And maybe the prize that you wanted isn't actually the prize that you want. Yes, you may be CEO of a company, but you miss out on your children growing up. And I understand that there are sacrifices, right? But I think you have to ask yourself if the sacrifices that you're willing to make are worth it. Maybe to some people they are, some people they're not. And I think everyone's choices are different. But I think what I'm trying to say is assess with what's important, and don't get caught up in the loop of the everyday, habit, just to be on autopilot. Really think for yourself. And I think that's what's really important in today's world. The ability to think for yourself, with so much reliance on technology to make these decisions for us. I think the best skill that you can have is critical thinking, the ability to think for yourself, the ability to solve problems, So, yeah. Let's move on. Point number 4. Here's why most people never experience lasting fulfillment. They're waiting for one big moment, one great revelation, but that's not how meaning works. Meaning unfolds as you embrace the journey, step by step. Every decision, every action, every failure, all success, all contribute to the tapestry of your life. Once you shift perspective and see life's meaning as a journey, everything else starts to click. You stop waiting for the aha moment and start living with purpose every day. Are you ready to stop waiting for your life's meaning and to magically appear and start creating it every single day? I also think too, right? Like, one of the benefits of starting your own business is the amount of control and accountability that's required from you in order to take that business off the ground. And as that amount of control and accountability, it translates to other aspects of your life, right? So just as you exert control and accountability over your business, you're going to exert control and accountability to the meaning of your life, right? Because it's totally up to you now, right? You kind of have this mindset that like, if I want this business to grow, it's going to be up to me. And it's going to carry over to, if I want my life to have meaning, it's going to carry over to me. Whereas I think the inverse of that is, if I want to grow in my company, it's going to be reliant on if I get promoted. And yes, there are things that you can do to get promoted, right? You can play the whole game. But if that's kind of your mindset, where it's like a lot of these things are going to be dependent on other people, then I think that the meaning of your life is going to be dependent on other people as well. You have less control, essentially. You can get laid off. You can you get passed up on a promotion. You can, all of these things, right? So yeah, I just think you just have to have that control and accountability that comes with creating meaning in your life. I feel like a lot of these things, right? Like, there's a whole concept of whatever you want externally is already within you. So if you want to accomplish something, if you want to create meaning in your life, rather than search for it externally, you have to realize that what you have to do is search for it internally, right? And I think the more inner work that you do for yourself, the more you're going to be able to understand and truly align with your authentic self about what it is you truly want. That's why there's this whole saying that if you want to grow, you kind of have to be dependent. You kind of have to isolate yourself because sometimes the noise can be too much. The noise can be too influential. The noise can dictate you one way or push you another way, right? But it's only until you're truly by yourself, back against the wall, where you have to make these decisions that you're going to be able to think clearly and know what to do. Because honestly, what you're doing is you're looking within at that moment. Your back's against the wall. What do I do? You know? And I feel like as a man, that's like a turning point for you, where you realize, you know what, enough's enough. Let's go, you know? But yeah, let's wrap it up. If there's one thing to remember from this video, it's this. Your life's meaning isn't out there somewhere. It's something you create every day through your actions and choices. So what's one small shift you can make today to align more with your authentic self? It's honestly, at the end of the day, it's you versus you, right? Yes, there's going to be the outside noise. Take it all in with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you about how you filter that information, how you motivate yourself, how you discipline yourself, how you hold yourself accountable, all of these things, right? So if you want to create meaning for your life, you want to have meaning for your life, understand that it starts with you. That every day, every moment, every action is shaping the meaning that you search for. So be intentional about what it is you do with your life. Be intentional with your thoughts and your actions, because whether you know it or not, they're creating that meaning you're searching for. All right. So with that being said, if you made it this far to the video, I thank you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next video. Peace.